It would come
You
naturally.
press play.
It would come naturally to me.
Record.
Wouldn't
You record.
Yeah.
You're recording now.
Yeah.
Oh, you started already?
And then you
Okay.
have, you have to have someone standing by your back all the time. Who gives that, that's the
Keep your bloody
instruction.
shit closed. Right?
We're now live recording.
It's okay.
So guys, hi, this is Nathan here from Denbigh Men's Shed, and we're here today at our base in Treverian in Denbigh, North Wales, making a little bit of Men's Sheds history, because we're very privileged to have Mr. George Kuria from Men's Sheds Kenya. George, it's been really great. We've had a great day already. We've been talking a lot. So George and I were talking as we were going around the gardens about some of the social things which go on with the men's sheds, and just how much of a difference these guys, you know, with George's input, are making a difference in their own communities back in the sheds in Kenya. So we're going to hopefully talk a little bit about that. And so with us here today is Steve Hession, who's one of our directors from Denbigh, and he's wearing his, if you notice this, the Canada Men's Sheds, or Men's Sheds Canada apron, as donated by Doug Mackey, who was also at the meeting with myself and George in Belfast back in October. TJ's here on the laptop, and Mr. Paul Rubanga as well. So this is great, because you guys, we've wanted to get you two together, because Paul's one of our members. You've been with us now for what, 18 months, 2 years.
Yeah.
And this is a real chance for us to sort of get together and talk. So George, tell us a little bit about then what we were talking about earlier, about how the guys in the sheds in Kenya have been making a difference socially with some of the younger men in their own communities.
Well, it's interesting. I'll start by telling you how we got started.
Yeah.
We are only 8 months old now, because
Yep.
we started mid last year, and we're looking forward to celebrate 1 year in June.
So it's your first year anniversary in June.
Yeah. We have 7 sheds at the moment.
Yep.
And we're looking to have 10 by the time when we're having our celebration.
Wow.
And we've been doing all sorts of things. We tried doing our sheds the Western way, but some things were not working. We were not
Yes.
able to put pieces together because of the cultural differences and so many other things.
Yeah.
And so we sat and thought of doing sheds in an African way
Mm-hmm.
that will suit our culture and will suit more or less our way of life in the local communities. And from that, I think they picked, and they're doing well. And one of the things, as you asked, is about the young people mentorship. And we have been involved with mentorship programs for the young people. And what happens is that the men saw that the tradition and the culture is fading away as time goes by. And they thought, you know, this is a good opportunity for them to reach out to the young people and bring them to the shed, and then going out to meet the young people,
Yeah.
and try to interact with them, and bring in a more or less a kind of a connection between the 2 age groups.
Between the generations.
Yeah, between the generations, because there was a divide that has been growing over time because of the changes that have been there in societies, maybe due to technology and so many other things. And it's been working, and they started with supporting football activities and sports activities in the local community. And from that, they moved into mentorship programs whereby they have the young people coming, and they have sessions whereby they try the young people to open up and tell them about their lives and the issues they are going through. And then they try to see how can they come in, what kind of support can they give them. And by and by, you know, things are working.
It's
out
moving.
well. It's moving.
Because remember when we first met in that meeting back in Belfast, and when you told me about the ideas and what you were actually working with, and how the guys were working with single parent families to act as mentors or father figures or uncle figures for some of the younger guys, to me that was inspirational, because these are ideas that I've had about how we can, and we discussed this, didn't we, about the definition of how masculinity and how being male is defined is so rigid, and there's so many guys that are suffering and struggling and inflicting suffering upon other people because they are really struggling with those definitions of being, you know, they can't live up to those expectations, like we said, and so all kinds of other negative stuff gets acted out. And it's lovely how, you know, you're already doing things that we've had the ideas of doing, and you're only 8 months into it. We're here 2 years down the line, nearly 2.5 years with Denbigh now. And we're still in the sort of planning phase, aren't we? We've looked at how we can work with younger people, and for us, that's probably going to be a next step, that we realise the same thing. So you think how far apart we are in terms of geographically, and yet we experience the same thing, this loss of culture, this loss of intergenerational connectivity, and how it's affecting men and women, boys and girls everywhere, and we're losing the stories, we're losing our sense of identity, and also I think our sense of humanity and goodness is being eroded by this. So it's amazing when you told me about this, and I was thinking, wow, we only think that these things are a first world developed nation issue, and yet now you're coming back with the same story. The guys are reflecting this from Africa, so to me it's like, well, this is a worldwide phenomena, and we're all in this together. So that's why it's lovely for us to get around this table and think that, you know, that pretty soon we're hopefully going to do the first Skype contact between Denbigh in Wales and the guys in Kenya. That's going to be great. Hopefully, if we can get that organised, and we'll do it for the 1st of June anniversary, that will just be a landmark event for us, because when we sat around the table with John Evoy, for us this is what this is all about, and it's about, you know, the International Men's Sheds organisation, the movement itself. It's not just lip service. This is about the true ethos of what Men's Sheds for us is all about, and it's about reaching out,
sharing our stories,
and sharing our stories and what we're doing.
But to be able to encourage Kenya as well, you know, with what we're doing here in such a short space of time, and to have that connection is really remarkable.
And for them to feel, I think, the commonality of issues as men
Yeah.
that we face, it's about closing that gap of understanding between the cultures, the nations, and the men themselves, and feel that, well, we are actually one big global
we
picture,
are,
and we're all struggling with the same issues,
Yeah.
really.
But
I
as
don't know
well,
where we are
I
as
think
people.
I think the other thing that's coming out of this now, I think, is this, the word is, we're able to encourage them, because we're working on the same line or similar to what they're doing, and seeing that as growing with what we've done.
Yeah.
And I was saying to George just now when we were outside that this connection with people, with Men's Sheds, when you meet somebody for the first time, you get that instinct, you're going to click.
Yeah.
And really, quite remarkable, really. In fact, you threw me, George, when we were walking out of the door to go outside. And I didn't realise you had such a terrific sense of humour. You come on to me so quick.
He keeps it quiet. It was just such a out first. What's nice for us is that I think that we are going to learn a lot from the guys in Kenya. And I think that's beautiful. I mean, our motto, Denbigh Men's Shed, meeting the friends you never knew you had.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's days like this where we get to live it. And we actually stand up to our motto, to our honour, and actually enact this. And so that's why for me today, I clicked with George as soon as we met. We just knew, didn't we?
Yeah.
We were like, I'm going to end up doing stuff with this guy, because, you know, he's really, and you did as well, Paul, didn't you?
Yes, yeah.
Because for you, this must be lovely to, you know.
Yeah, it's very nice.
I was saying just now that to Paul when you were talking with George outside, and when you came to the workshop, what I found really, really interesting, I was really intrigued by it, is to hear Paul and George speaking Swahili
to each other.
Wow, that was,
because
you know, I couldn't understand the word they were saying, but it was lovely to hear. And it's so encouraging that we've got Paul here now to be able to translate and do things for us, you know?
So for guys who've never met Paul before, not everybody, not a lot of people know this, as Michael Caine says, but Paul, you're related to the royal line, aren't you, of the Alua people?
Yes.
So do you want to talk a little bit about that and about your experience of Men's Sheds?
I live quite a distance from here, but I would rather come to the Men's Sheds here because of the inclusivity here, and I'm part of the royal lineage in the Alua tribe in Uganda, and I was talking to Nathan about the possibility of opening up a shed there, and I can talk to my aunt, who is the Queen Mother, to try to influence setting up one of the sheds there. And we've already had a few hints about it, and I think it will certainly go ahead with our approval.
Yeah, well, I think that'd be a fan. If we could help that kind of facilitate that with George's input, however that happens, I think that'd be fantastic, because, you know, it's about what we do as people, as human beings, and we're creating history right now. That to me is beautiful, because I know, like this was just an idea.
Yeah.
Now it's real, it's happened, and it's just amazing. We've had such a great day. So things like that, I think, Paul, when that actually, you know, manifests and it's real and it starts happening, and us connecting with the guys and the guys connecting with us, I think the more that we put it across media, they can see our faces, our smiles,
But as well,
we talk. It's going to really boost people everywhere.
It's, you say time. I think this is where it's been a wonderful thing for us here in Denbigh, is we've brought these ideas out, we've put them on paper, we've talked about it, okay, it's taken time. But it proves one thing to me personally, is how time works to our advantage, and how things have come to us over the last 12 months.
Yeah, and then here we are. We're just we're just an average group of people. I think what has worked in Denbigh's favour is that we are a good group of friends. We have a lot of love and brotherhood with each other, genuine, heartfelt, and although we all have, you know, we all take the piss out of each other at times, have a good laugh. It's a bit of that
Speak for yourself,
yeah. You know, we have that connection.
Yes.
I think for us, we've had that positive intent from the very beginning. We've just kept looking outwards, thinking bigger, daring to dream that big.
Yeah.
So we're the guys that invented Shedfest. Now we have this annual event, Shedfest, and everybody comes to it. And our dream was always to reach out, you know, further and wider. And then we seem to have been in the right place at the right time. So for me, going to the international Mensheds meeting was something that happened literally the day before. It only happened on the Wednesday, and so through my connection with the UK Mensheds Association, that enabled me to, you know, bridge the gap, to reach out and meet all the players involved, and to chat with John Evoy and to chat with George and Jason and all the other guys that were there, and also to meet Barry Golding. And you know, it's a real privilege to meet these people. And then you get to understand, well, they're just guys as well. They got their own stuff going on.
No.
And I think what we've done is that there's those that talk and there's those that do. And we have not just spoken about it, but we've made this happen.
Yeah, because you're saying that now, we've talked the talk, but we've walked the walk, and put into practice what we believe.
Yeah, and today is one of those days.
And this has proved it,
You know, we brought these guys together. And I mean, what are the chances of doing it? You know, George is here, and you've met all the people, you've talked, and then you've met Paul Jarrod as well, who's done that beautiful cross-stitch panel for Mensheds Kenya, and you know, we've been able to give him the bead bracelet.
Yeah.
And that's just lovely. So it's almost like the gift has come back.
I think also what I can say about Mensheds. Mensheds is not all about men. And that's from the perspective that we are doing it back in Kenya. It's not about men. We are not just doing it for ourselves. We are doing it for our families and our community as well.
Yeah.
Because we've been able to reach out to women as well. I have not told you that we are doing something on women.
Oh, really?
Because as much as we are modeling the men, I told you about the self-care bit, about taking care of ourselves and looking after ourselves. We organized a meeting for women. We had a women counsellor that spoke to our women, the spouses of the members. And that was a very big meeting.
Fantastic.
So she came in, and she sat with the women. There were about 60 of them. And they had a meeting, and they talked about a lot of issues that are affecting women at home, that women thought are brought about by men.
Yes.
And it was a very, very good discussion, because women raised issues why they blame men on certain stuff. And the woman was able to talk to the women as well and tell them, you know, you also have stuff that you bring on men, and that is why men are depressed. And they were able to open up and talk about issues that they cannot talk on normal day-to-day with everybody else. And that was a real eye-opener, because the woman as well went to men, and she told the men, you know, this is what has been going on in homes. Can you try and do A, B, C, D and rectify here?
But that's profound, because that's so empowering. So, you know, you're doing things which you're using the shed as a vehicle for societal change, for bringing, it's not just about men, like you say. We've always thought that. It is about, you know, bringing together of the sexes, and whatever we do to help men here grow, learn, understand and develop as people, then it's bound to help the women in the community as well. And we're looking now at supporting the starting of she sheds, you know, where because we found there's a lot of women that want to come and actually have a go in the workshops and create stuff or have that bond, because there's so much in society now that we're losing in communities, left, right, and centre. Men are losing it, women are losing it. We all need each other, because social isolation is the world's biggest issue at the moment. I feel Britain is one of the most overpopulated countries in the world, in Europe in particular, and now we've been classed as Europe's loneliness capital. How can it be? Because the population density in places like London is so vast. So we're clearly doing something wrong, and it's about turning that tide, because the social isolation is the thing that is leading to this massive world mental health epidemic. It's the biggest thing we're facing. So, things like that are just so enlightening, because you're turning the tide, and you're getting, because communication is the thing, isn't it? When people hold it all in, and we harbour these, anxieties and resentment, and it's like people. This is a true thing that someone says to me one day. It's like resentment. It's like drinking poison and expecting someone else to die. It's so toxic.
But I think what you were saying just now, with what you just said, or part of what you just said now, is the communications. I personally do believe with what we're doing here in Shed and connections we have now with Kenya, is we can connect with other groups of people. I think ethnic is the right word. I hope so. It starts with us, because with our movement here and in Kenya, and looking at what you just said about London, it starts with the ordinary people. Forget your politics. It starts with us to make it work. And I do believe that we can do it.
If it was going to work from the top down,
it's
it
not
would
going
have
to
already
work.
worked. No. And I think what we're seeing in societies now, clearly globally everywhere, that it working that way from the top down hasn't worked in most cases, because the people who are actually living, who compose the society, are suffering. So it's about, that's why these grassroots community movements are so empowering, is because we're turning that on its head. And so we get people coming here, and I think people come here and sample a bit of the love and the energy and the togetherness we create, and they walk away with a piece of that, which, people come here and they're like, wow, people come to this project, and people are here, and they compare it to other projects, and they say, well, what you've created here, we've been to a lot of different places, and people are there kind of because they're there, but they're here because they love being here. They love being here. And I think, George, what you were saying to me about the guys in Kenya, it sounds like they've really got that feeling as well, and the way that they're beginning to influence their behaviour in the community, and that being a member of the Shed in the community, in the Sheds in Kenya,
being upheld, it's a lot of status, and
it's a lot of status and respect, and it's expected to be an exemplary position. And like you were saying about the guy that was disciplined for being drunk and disorderly on the street, and he was suspended and was given a suspension for his conduct, because it reflected badly on his position. And you were saying this, Paul, weren't you, that culturally that's a very
important, because the cultural connection, you feel so isolated if you're not if you're not part of it. That's the way of being exemplary, showing everyone, because in the areas like that, it's not like up here in the West, where you can be on the street on your own, nobody really knows you. But because of the community, everyone has a sense of being, and everyone knows who you are.
They take care of you. So you don't want to be alone in case you maybe like having issues or having problems.
And that in itself it encourages better behaviour from people, because, like you say, where people need each other more to rely on, they're less likely to behave badly, to cause disruption.
I think what Paul said as well in connection is how he had the talk with the women, and they went over to talk to the men. It's making each other aware, making the men aware of what the women are feeling or going through, and same and vice versa, and being able to bring it out and able to talk about it.
And I think the beauty of that is that in your cultures there, you haven't lost that ability for those people. It takes someone like yourself or the Sheds to facilitate it. But if you compare that to something like trying to happen in Wales or England or somewhere, people are so immersed in their own egos.
Yeah.
They would find it impossible to drop. I'd say impossible. I'd love to see the day where they felt more safe.
Yeah.
Because I think when people feel safe, they'll do that. I know that we've almost got that here, I think, done right. The model we have here is perfect in that, almost perfect, that it works great. If we can just show people that this can be done, and everyone, it's like we say, you have to be yourself. The pressure of not being yourself is devastating to a human being. Devastating. And most of us have lived lives where we've lived what we were expected to be, and yet all everyone wants to be is just be who they are. Well, you can't not be. You are who you are. So at some point you have to live from that place.
The society has more or less laid their expectations of how we should be, or how a man should be,
Devastating.
or how a woman
Yeah.
should be.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes, you know, people hard trying to keep up with those expectations.
Yeah.
It's difficult,
Yes.
you know, and that's why you see people breaking down, people having so many issues, you know, struggling, you know,
Yeah.
to get mortgages, struggling to raise
Yes.
kids, you know,
Yes.
and all that, and maybe
Yeah.
they're just trying to fulfill the society expectations, and maybe that's not their wish.
That's not the truth.
What they would like to be.
Yeah.
They
It's-
want to be themselves.
Yes. That's what they're here to be.
But
That's
as
the
well,
truth,
I
isn't
think-
it? Yeah.
Sorry, I found being oneself, I have found, and it's been a long, long road, that if we are to be happy individually, wherever we are in the world, we have to find ourselves first. And then once we start finding ourselves, what we like and enjoying other people's company, that's when the eagerness goes.
Yeah, you're right.
And you start enjoying life. And well, I mean, look what you've done for me.
Yeah.
You know.
But isn't it beautiful though? Because I've come along and not had my ego involved in a lot of it.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, I know I have a place of a certain profile in terms of the shed and bringing everyone together and what we do.
But I've managed to bring it. I've managed to bring it down.
It brought me down a bit, yeah. So they all brought me down a bit. But the nice thing for me in that is that I've come along with that kind of ethos inside myself. Is that I am who I am, and I feel like, you know, I've visited and met a lot of people from a lot of different sheds, and they're still very much in that maleness and that ego and that separateness, and it's a case of, that's okay, guys, but you know, at some point you're going to have to drop that thing in order to be okay and be healthy. There's only one way to be, and it's to be who you are genuinely. And George, you're right, the expectations that are piled upon us, people can't live up to those things. So you know, that's okay if you're winning in the game, but what about all of those human beings, men and women, boys and girls, who are not able, or who win for so long and then fall down? Well, why can't they be still included as valid and just as equally important?
But I think you've hit on something there that's affected both of us and so many other people as well in organisations or whatever. It's, we have you there as our project manager, stroke coordinator. But one of the things you've learnt, I think, especially I've learnt as well, is kick the eagerness into touch, be ourselves. But one thing that has worked to our advantage, and to yours as well, I believe, for both of us really, is the teamwork.
I thought you were going to say he's having a few bolts missing.
I'm actually coming to that now. I was building up to that. But no, seriously, it's down to teamwork. And it's finding out what the individual members of the shed or even our own community is interested in.
And capable of.
And capable of.
Yeah.
I mean,
beautiful.
I left school at 16, no qualifications. And look at me now, playing music, trying to do a bit of singing, wood turning, starting wood carving now.
Almost learning a new language now.
Almost learning a new language.
Learn a
That's
new
it, yeah.
language.
That's
You have
it.
the interest to learn a new language.
Yeah, I'm interested to learn a new language.
You're wearing a Men's Sheds Canada apron,
Yeah.
talking to
But
the guys.
the thing is,
You're wearing the African regalia.
He's going to wear that's it. He's going to be wearing his African
But it just proves that.
and a grass skirt. He'll wear a grass skirt from Hawaii and shed.
I've got them coming.
Yeah.
But it just shows you, it's, again,
Crazy.
what I believe that the shed has done for me, but especially Nathan, is he's brought things out of me that I would have run 10 mile, or I would have broke the 4 minute mile 10 times over. Because I thought, oh, not me. Because I played rugby, I was fine because we were part of the team. But even in work, I was happy doing what I was doing. I didn't want the foreman's job.
Yeah.
Not that I didn't want the pressure. It's just I was happy doing what I was doing, just being me. And this is what the shed has done. It's brought me out, Nathan, you know, from that bottomless pit. And last year as well was a bad year for me to a point. Or the year before, when I joined, wasn't it?
Yeah.
About 12 months, 12,
Yeah.
18 months. And then, now, I mean, I've had about 3 months, 4 months, 3 months this year, haven't I? Since Christmas.
Yeah.
But now it's coming back again.
Yeah, I can tell.
It's the want to see the achievement, not for me, I'm not bothered about me, but the achievements of making the connections.
Yeah.
And since we've had this connection that you, today with you, and think what we discussed about regalia and whatever, you know, I thought all of a sudden it seems to have sent me up another 100 foot.
That's what it's all about.
You know?
Because you feel that.
Because it
Yeah.
happens. Why?
Yeah.
Because it happens naturally.
Yeah.
You planted the idea without realising it.
Yeah.
You think, oh, let him think about it.
Yeah.
And he comes out and you think, well, I'd like to hear you know. But it's just these things, because we allow things to happen naturally.
This was like when Paul, when you came to join us, it was like that, wasn't it? I mean, you were brought here by another a charity, community, mental health organisation to see how it went, and you were in a really tough place, weren't you? And I remember just seeing your face, and after 2 hours of being here, you had this big smile, and then not more than a few months later, you were talking to Prince William.
Yeah.
You know, but I was just like, "Where's Paul Rubanga?"
It was so great.
I had him like next to me,
But the
and then
thing
there's like William and Kate, weren't they?
Yes.
And he actually talked to you, didn't he? He talked to
Yeah.
you about, because he saw your Arsenal
Yeah.
hat, and he was like,
We
talking
talked
to you
about football,
and
talked about Uganda. How come I'm in real. I told him I lived in London and then moved here. For quite a few minutes chat, which was great.
Yeah.
And there's the look on your
The only
face,
thing
wasn't
is-
there? The look on your face afterwards, you were just like
I
this.
could not believe it.
I can't believe what he said to me. I can't believe it.
And he walked
Can't
straight to
believe-
me, you know.
And he went straight to you, didn't he? He was literally like, hi.
But I wasn't sure actually. He was looking that happy and joyous because of it. You were ecstatic.
Yeah.
3 times you looked at me, I thought, where's this guy going looking like that? You know, but seriously though, it's done you the world of good, mate, the power of good. And I, for one, like Nathan, and I for one as a member of Shed, are so privileged to see you really looking happy again. It's brilliant.
That's been a beautiful journey.
Because
for
you
us.
give us all the buzz, Paul.
Yeah, you do, Paul.
I was very isolated before I came here, and I always look forward to coming here on a Thursday to spend time with the guys here, and they take the mick out of me sometimes. But that's what it's all about.
But
Nice
you
fun.
just remember what you say to me half the time, Paul. No, come on.
Don't repeat it. Don't repeat it. I think what was good as well, when we did a mental health awareness training, and I wanted the training to be coming from people who'd experienced the real issues, because a lot of the training is textbook stuff taught by people who've never really been through it. So my idea was to facilitate a mental health awareness training, which involved people talking about their own particular issues and what they'd really struggled with and suffered with. And it was really empowering, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you got to talk for the first time about your experiences and struggling with PTSD, and other people talked about psychosis or going through depression and anxiety and all the sort of main, complications that people are struggling with. And I think as well that was good for you, wasn't it, to
was very nice.
sit with us finally and really talk about
Be
it.
able to share what I
share
feel
it.
and
To open up and
And that's been a long journey for you, but as part of
Yeah.
your journey back to well-being and wellness, that's what you've been encouraged to do. And it was nice that day was, because I don't think I've ever heard you speak so much it was great to hear you just fully, really engaged. And that's why I wanted to hook you up with George, because I just thought there's a great connection there. It's something that for you would just be such a buzz.
Yeah, yeah.
Because this is real, you know.
Yeah.
You've lived a life in Africa in the past that none of us can really comprehend.
No.
Yeah.
No.
And so, you know, there's so much that you bring to the table. And I've always said, I always say that, I'm absolutely proud to know you. And to have known you in my life. Because you're one of these characters I think, wow, how did you survive that? You must have some amazing quality to still be here and still be a good human being. So that's what I love about the sheds.
I think there's something we talked with you before in the garden, and we said that the most important thing is the sheds, you know. Okay, we have the ethos and the regulations and all that.
Yeah.
The most important thing is being real.
Yeah.
Men being real and men having real ideas, practical ideas. And I'll give you this example of the shed in Kenya whereby we are putting together the local history dating back to
Yes, this is
maybe
fantastic.
70, 80 years ago. And people are going to write about their experiences, about the stories
Yeah,
that were passed on by their granddads,
That's
about
beautiful.
what they know.
Yeah.
And then they bring it together.
Yeah.
And it'll be a real story because it'll be touching people that you know. They'll be talking about the neighbors, the local shop, how they used to shop there,
Yeah.
how they used to play football in that field, how they used to hunt rabbits and with
Yeah,
wild dogs
yeah.
and all that.
Yeah.
So these are stories that people want to hear about their own place.
I think being connected, same thing in Kenya,
Yeah.
or similar,
Yeah.
is coming together and talking and finding each other, what you says like playing football or so forth. And it brings people together that may have not seen each other for
years.
And I found from my own experience, Paul, yours as well, is when we get to talk and bring things out, you suddenly realise you've got a new family.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is what's happened. I know it's happening to you now, Paul, and it's happened to me, but having this family. And you said about a gift to Paul just now. There's a gift there waiting for you, Paul, to be brought out. It's taken me 18 months.
Yeah.
You can do it in less. And this is what Shed is all about, the groups. It's bringing out the best of individuals.
And just sharing, go back to the concept of sharing the stories is a powerful thing, because I think it's the stories and the sharing of metaphor, which is a cultural thing which is being lost everywhere. And yet the stories that we're finding now that with you know, the way that information technology, the internet's gone, it's the stories, the things that go viral, they're the most powerful messages. And that's what I'm keen, that's why we're doing this, and that's why we're going to work together with the guys in Kenya across the internet.
Change ideas.
And change the ideas, but also it's that realising that, you know, the stories that we share are so similar. And that, because you were saying that those stories and those cultural histories, they're going to be preserved, aren't they? In the schools, the chiefs,
because
so the history of the people is not lost. And I think I've noticed a lot of young kids these days, I'll say, you know, why don't you take a history as an option with your exams? And they're like, what do you learn about history for? And I always say, because when you learn about history, you learn lessons of how we've got to this point. But you also learn about who we are and how we've become who we are. And we only learn, I think, really we need to look at our past to help us move forward to our future. And most of the world now has got a very uncertain future because we've lost this connection to our past and lost the connection to the truth of what it is to be men, to be true human beings. So I think there's lots to be done in that.
But as well, again, to emphasise connection is, and when this filming goes into archives, somebody may look at it in 20, 30, even 100 years' time. But somebody, hopefully Kenya or wherever it may be, will pick up and think, wow, I've been there where he's been. I felt what he or she, whatever it is. Wow, if those people can do it, or individuals can do it, wow, what can I do?
And that's the nice thing, isn't it?
That's the nice sharing
I remember
our achievements with it.
There's the guy Nick Vujicic, have you ever seen him, the guy that he does a lot of videos online, and he says this thing that, you know, he was always looking for a miracle for himself, and he said he realised that, you know, you may not get a miracle for yourself, but you might end up being one for someone else. And I think that's a beautiful thing. You know, there's And I love that quote. We had this the other day in a course, didn't we, Em, about the Steve Jobs quote where he says, you know, in your life you can't connect the dots looking forward, you can only connect the dots looking back. And so the experiences we've all been through in our lives at the time were very painful, and we never knew what they were for because we were in them and in the trauma for many years afterwards. But it's only when you get that chance to sit and you look back, and for me, everything I went through and all the struggle I went through with being social isolated and depressed and suicidal and not being able to admit it because of who I was or really confront it, then laid the foundations for all this work that I've done since I've come, you know, back into work and then gone back into men's sheds. All of that and back into all the, you know, I came in out of that darkness into working with special educational needs, and I came to working with substance misuse recovery at the same time I got the job working for the shed. So for me, it was like, wow, and I finally understood it within a few months. All the darkest places I've been to were because I was meant to have that template to help others and say, yeah, I was where you were literally a couple of months ago. Now I look back and I say, 2 years down the line, my mind's couldn't be further from that place. And so I think saying to people, first of all, you need to accept where you are sometimes, even if it's in the darkest hour. Accept that place and accept that, particularly with issues like depression, one of the powerful things for me was to accept it and then think, oh, I've been here before, and I know at some point down the line it will feel better, it will shift.
Yeah.
And I think just having that thought itself helped the process to move. Because we have to understand that, you know, we don't stay in suffering forever. It goes, but sometimes it is a necessary thing.
This is why, well, you know personally, Ian's read some of the stuff I put down, and this is why we are able to connect with those who walk through that door. Because why? We've been there.
Yeah.
We've worn the shoes, we're still wearing the shoes.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
this is what makes us an exception to the rule. We understand, so we don't criticise.
And we don't judge.
We don't judge.
Non-judgmental.
You know, because we're able to there is a connect with it. I've been there, Nathan's been there, Ian's been there, TJ, Paul, so many of our members have been there. And when you do get those thoughts, I never thought I would have come out of it.
And yet here we are.
It's not a suit that fits one fits all.
No,
It's suits that each person wears.
but until I
different to
started
that
coming
person.
here,
But they will go through the same things as other people:
Yeah.
depression, suicidal, but they'll experience it in a different way.
but I mean,
And it's okay
you know,
to feel those feelings, but it's also okay to get them out and talk about them.
yeah, but as well as that, having said that, for me personally, is Dave Waddle. If I hadn't come here when I did, and be here now, talking about these things,
Yeah.
well, I can safely say, with my hand on my heart, I'd be 6 foot under. I would have done it.
Yeah.
And I know exactly where I would have done it. But thanks to Denbigh Men's Sheds, they have bought me back from redemption, if you like. And that has given me a part of a foundation, a footing, even though I still suffer from depression and anxiety.
We always will.
Eh?
We always will.
Yeah.
Suffer with it.
But
It's how we deal with it.
but coming here on a Thursday gives me that incentive. I'm not bothered about going out the rest of the week or even go to the shop.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I couldn't be bothered.
Yeah.
I still can't be bothered going. But coming here, well, if there is a God, well, maybe he's looking down on me.
He's smiling on you.
You know, but he's
He's in a shed.
and I look back at 18 months. Well, it's been up and down, still is up and down. But if I didn't have these guys,
But it's a long way from where you were.
you know,
But life is always going to be up and down.
It is, and it is how it is training. We're not taught how to live. In all the things we learn in schools and colleges, universities, everywhere, we're not taught how to live. It's the most fundamental thing that we need as human beings, and it's the one thing that's missed off the curriculum. And George, you were saying that your sheds now that you've got in Kenya, these guys are open 6-7 days a week, some of them.
Yeah.
Which, that's awesome, but they open for a few hours.
Yeah, they're open from 3 until 8. We have one of the sheds, they have a TV, so they're able to watch news at 8 o'clock in the night before they go home. Because they're quite rural, so it's, and as Paul knows, you know, a TV is a rare gadget back in Africa. Not most places will have electricity. So that's something, and it brings them together because they're able to discuss about what is actually happening, and they can be able to open up and get to talk to each other about issues that maybe are going around the country or around their community. And I just wanted to chip in and say that relationships are very important, and from relationships we draw inspiration. Right in the group that we are here, he said something that has inspired me. You've said something that I've gotten inspired. And that's how we tend to grow with each other. Much of the knowledge that we have, we don't get it from books.
We get it from each other. We get it from the interaction.
It's that connection that you feel inside you. I can't explain. I don't believe we can put it to words. But it's like there is a spiritual angel, whatever, always looking over us, and they think, well, you'll benefit by meeting George, or benefit by meeting somebody else, and gradually it works to bring you together.
Well,
And time is of the essence. By they bring us. I'm convinced now, especially today, that there is a reason why they brought you here today. It's happened for a reason.
As fantastic as the internet is.
No, there's the internet, yes, I know.
It still comes down to
it's the human, it's the face
sitting
to
down
face.
and having a conversation.
Because this has been always the thing for me and Ian, as we've worked from the very beginning, and you're one of the reasons that I'm here in this job, so I have a lot to thank you for. And we've sat, and the ideas that Ian and myself have come up with have given, it was Ian and I that gave birth to the idea of Shed Fest and to Shed SOS. And it was just through having conversations and daring to laugh and think, what could we do? Well, what could we do? And then weeks later, Shed Fest happened, the first ever Shed Fest. So this is for us, it's a case of we dared to dream big and think different, and keep that core of inclusion and non-judgment. And that's been, so for us, you're right, the internet has brought us, enabled us to communicate for quite a while. And I've always been a great advocate, I always will be, for face-to-face human get-together like this, because for us, when we used to have more meetings, the more things that came from it, it was so empowering and inspiring. So,
well, I was sitting at home the other night, and I was Googling through the internet, just messing about, and something came to me. We did a talk to Good to Talk Mental Health. That's
the Time to Talk Day.
Time to Talk Day on mental health, and I came across Autism Week, end of March. Brain's ticking around. Let's do the same thing again, but we'll do it for autism. Good to talk about autism. Message too. Absolutely brilliant idea.
And it's part of the
that's how the idea
part of the project
is
that we've been working to collaborate on, because we've now started working with the Autistic Women's Empowerment Project with Willow Holloway, and we've really clicked, and it's just fantastic that we're able to now think, encompass and include an entirely new group of people, but also there's this issue around awareness, and awareness is good, but they say, the thing is, awareness is good, but acceptance is better. And so everyone talks about awareness, that's fine, but you need to embody actually really helping people. So are we good on time? Is the battery going to give out on the phone?
My arms are giving out.
Yeah, so Emma's done a great job of filming. It's really hot in here, so we're just trying to film it on my mobile phone.
No, it's really been really good to be here this afternoon. And it's been really good and a privilege to have met you and to have that connection with Kenya, and hope we can carry out what we said about Shed Fest.
Yeah, definitely, and we'll see
That
you
would be good.
in an African dress. So I would like to say it's been lovely. It's been lovely to share time and space with the guys today. It's just been days like today are what it's all about. This has been immensely moving for me and very powerful and just heartwarming, George. And thank you so much, brother, for your wisdom and your time.
Thank you for having me.
And for making the effort to come and actually see us, because that was lovely. Because literally, he only texted me yesterday lunchtime to confirm. I'll definitely be coming. So I was like, guys, George is coming. Let's make it happen, and everyone's made it. Paul made it. So this has been a lovely,
Just
lovely
one
day.
thing I
Lovely
would
day.
like to ask, has anybody got any tissues? I'm going to cry, I'm so emotional.
Right. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, George.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, George.
Very much, mate.
Thank you, Steve, TJ, and to Emma.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing the sterling job.
Thank you, Emma.
Thank you.